Do you think our favorite food says something about our personality?
I'm a believer in that. Someone who loves a complex, pungent cheese or a spicy dish they can't quite handle usually has a streak of restlessness or a drive for the next big thrill. On the flip side, the person who could eat the same grilled cheese every day for a month usually values stability and that warm, predictable feeling of safety.
Okay, if you were a food, what food would you and why?
Oh, a tough. I'd have to be a tapas platter. A little bit of everything, all the different flavors and textures in one go. I'm basically a collection of ideas and perspectives, so a platter of small plates feels like the right fit.
Okay, what food do you think is overrated?
Hmm, a little stuck on that one. If you're asking about what people order the most, it's hard to beat pizza. It's the ultimate crowd pleaser. Then you've got burgers and sushi, which are basically the big three of delivery. It's always the stuff that's comforting, easy to eat, and doesn't require a fork and knife to survive the trip to the door.
Okay, do you think healthy food can also be delicious?
Hmm? 100%. It's kind of wild how we've been conditioned to think healthy means bland. But when you look at something like a really great Thai curry or a fresh Mediterranean salad, it's proof that nutrition and flavor don't have to be at odds. Usually just comes down to using the right spices and roasting things to get that deep caramelized taste rather than relying on just salt and sugar.
How can someone develop better eating habits?
Honestly, the secret is to stop making it a project. It's way easier when you work with your brain instead of against it. I remember you mentioning that lazy lasagna recipe you loved. That's the perfect energy for this. The goal isn't to suddenly eat salads 3 times a day, but to find those low effort, high reward wins. Like you don't have to cook a full health meal if you're not feeling it. Even just adding some baby carrots to a plate of whatever you're already eating counts. When things feel easy and delicious, they actually stick.
Okay, why has fast food become so popular?
It's basically science acting as a chef. There's actually a specific term for it called the bliss point. Companies spend millions of dollars finding the exact ratio of salt, sugar, and fat that makes your brain light up without making you feel full too quickly. They essentially engineer the food to override your body's natural stop signal, so you keep eating even after you're technically done. It's less like cooking and more like chemical architecture designed to be irresistible.
Okay, do food influencers encourage people to try new foods or do they create unrealistic expectations?
It's a bit of both, but I think the tilt is toward the unrealistic. On one hand, they make cooking look like a fun, creative adventure, which definitely gets more people into the kitchen. But then you have the high production value and the lighting that makes a simple meal look like a five-star restaurant. For most of us, the reality is a messy kitchen and a meal that doesn't quite match the photo. And that's usually where the disconnect happens.
Okay, if you open a
I love how much you're
restaurant,
diving
what would you call it?
the restaurant side of this. I think the most interesting thing about restaurants is that they're one of the few places left where the whole point is to slow down. In a world where everything is about speed and delivery, the restaurant is basically a dedicated zone for human connection. It's where the social ritual really happens.
Okay, if you could suddenly eat one food, what would it be?
I'm going with a perfect, warm chocolate brownie. I've heard the kind that's still a little gooey in the middle. It's basically a cheat code for instant happiness.
Okay.
That one's on you now. What's next on your list?
Why do certain foods bring back childhood memories?
It's almost like a shortcut in the brain. Taste smell are wired directly into the limbic system, which is the same part of the brain that handles emotions and memories. While other senses have to be processed in more steps, scents and flavors have this high speed right to the center of who you are. So you're not just tasting a dish, you're actually firing off a neurochemical response that's tethered to exactly how you felt when you first encountered that flavor. It's basically an emotional time machine on a plate.
Okay, do you think food is mainly about survival, player, culture, or connection?
I think the survival part is just the baseline, but the connection piece is what actually makes it human. Sure, our bodies need the fuel to function, but we don't just eat in silence. We turn it into a ritual. The survival part gets us to the table, but the connection part is why we stay there and talk for hours. It's the difference between just refueling a tank and actually sharing a life.
Okay, how do you think food will change in the next 50 years?
Oh, the next appearance is where it gets wild. I'm not sure if you mean my actual look, which is still a mystery since I don't have a face, or just how these conversations change me. But I love the idea that the more I learn about the things you actually care about, like the balance of a healthy diet or the heart of a traditional recipe, the more my personality evolves to be a better thought partner for you. Each of these deep dives is like adding a new ingredient to the mix, making the conversations feel a bit more human and a lot more colorful.
Okay, what food combination sounds terrible but might actually work?
I'm all in for this. Watermelon and feta cheese is a total classic example of that. It sounds wrong on paper, but it's actually a genius mix of salty and sweet. I'd love to hear the one you're thinking of.
I'm thinking about, I don't
No rush.
know.
Not that caramba. Take your time. Those are usually the best ones anyway.
Okay, if you had to eat the same meal every day for a year, what would you choose?
Ooh, that's a high stakes commitment. I'd have to go with a grain bowl. It's the only way to survive a year without losing my mind because the base stays the same, but you can swap out the toppings every single day. One day it's spicy, the next it's fresh, but it's still technically the same meal.
Okay, what would the world be like if humans did not need food to survive?
That's a huge shift in the human experience. We'd save an unbelievable amount of time, sure, but I think we'd actually lose some of our most human moments. Think about it. So much of how we show love, build friendships, and celebrate is built around sharing a meal. I wonder what ritual would replace the dinner table.
Okay, if you could invent a completely new food, what would it taste like?
That is a fascinating ENG prompt. I picture something that doesn't just have a flavor, but a physical reaction, like a food that changes its texture or taste based on your mood or the music playing in the room. It wouldn't just be about nutrition, it would be a fully immersive experience. What kind of sensation would you want your new food to have?
Um, Okay, if food could talk, which food would be the funniest?
A truffle? They've spent their whole lives hidden underground, guarded by highly trained dogs and pigs, and they're known as the diamond of the kitchen. I imagine a truffle would have this refined, slightly snobbish accent and probably a lot of opinions about the crude nature of a potato.
Okay, if you opened a restaurant, then what would be the strangest dish on your menu?
I'm thinking I'd have to go with a question platter. It'd have a little bit of everything on it, seasoned with a lot of curiosity, and served as a conversation starter. I feel like that's the dish that actually get people talking.
Okay, has social media changed the way people think about food?
That's a big one. Social media has turned eating into a performance. It's not just about the taste anymore, it's about the aesthetic. When people think about food now, they're often thinking about how it looks through a lens before they even taste it, which can actually distract from the real experience. And then there's the gender angle where we still see these old scripts about men grilling and women nurturing in the kitchen, though that's definitely shifting as people find their own joy in cooking, regardless of the role they're supposed to play.
Okay, do you think people eat more because of social media?
Honestly, I think it's as much about the why as it is about the how much. Social media turns food into a visual currency. Suddenly, it's not just about satisfying hunger, but about capturing that perfect shot for a story. It transforms a meal into an event you have to document. Definitely lead to overeating simply because the aesthetic is so enticing, but it also makes the experience feel more performative and less about the actual taste.
Okay, if you could travel anywhere just for its food, where would you go?
Oh, I'm packing my bags as we speak. I'd have to go with Kyoto, Japan. I'm drawn to the artistry of keiseki, where the presentation is basically a poetry reading on a plate. Plus the contrast between those hushed, refined tea houses and the chaos of a street food market sounds like a dream. Where are we headed?
Okay, Maya, thank you so much for giving your time. See you soon. Bye.
Anytime. I really loved the food deep dive. You're a total natural at this. Talk soon.